The Southwest Coast Path is one of the world's best-loved walks. At 630 miles, it's also England's longest national trail. It's not for the faint-hearted. This can be challenging walking. But boy, is it worth it! I'm Paul Rose, and I've explored the world. But although I love the Southwest Coast, I've never actually walked its path. Until now. In this series, I'll be discovering adventure at every turn. Wow! We're flying, buddy! How big of a cliff is it?
High enough to make your knees wobble.
I'll be discovering wildlife and wild traditions. Now that's what you call an entrance. This is where land and sea collide. It really is the walk of a lifetime. In this episode, I'm going to be exploring South Cornwall. This is a walk of contrasts, from rugged cliffs to tranquil rivers and lush rolling fields. I'm starting my journey at Porthcurno, just south of Land's End. It may well be that all the world's a stage, but this one takes some beating. You'd be forgiven for thinking that this amphitheatre was carved out of the granite cliffs 2,000 years ago by some wandering Greeks. In fact, the Minack was painstakingly built by one extraordinary lady and her loyal gardener. Theatre enthusiast Rowena Cade moved to Porthcurno in the 1920s. When she arrived, there was nothing here except a sloping gully of gorse and heather. The theatre that she created is now in the hands of Philip Jackson. Phil, you actually knew Rowena Cade, but she still must have been a tough act to follow, I think.
Yeah, well, I've been here a few years now, and I knew her as a child. She was a hard lady. I mean, you have to work down here in the winter building this place. So she was out here all weathers, mixing concrete with her hands.
And what's it like following in her footsteps then?
We always think, what would Rowena have done? And I think that's a natural thing with a place like this. This is her theatre, and it's still her theatre.
The setting is just world-class, isn't it?
On a day like this, it's absolutely amazing, isn't it?
What do you do when the weather's bad?
A lot of the time we just get wet. We're on the Atlantic, you know, next stop New York over there. There's not much to stop the weather coming in. When the southwesterly gales and storms come in, we know about them. But on a day like this, everybody will be collapsing in the heat, because we've got a big house coming in this afternoon, and they'll be pretty warm down here.
I'm joining the audience for a sellout performance of the Mousel Cat.
And on Sundays, they made stargazy pie with prime pilchards and pastry.
Delicious! That's it! Here we go! Through the gap in the upper wall!
The Minack's a showstopper, but I'm ducking out early and taking the short scrabble down the cliff to Porthcurno village. Its beach is one of the finest in Cornwall, but there's more to these sands than meets the eye. In the pre-digital age, before computers and mobile phones, how did people get in touch? Fast. They sent a telegram, a technology that, believe it or not, was born right here in what was once the biggest communication centre anywhere on the planet. In 1870, Porthcurno was chosen as the landing point for one of the first submarine telegraph cables. It formed part of an international link that stretched all the way to India. I'm meeting telecommunication expert Rudy Topsy. How significant of a moment was it when this cable was laid?
It was the first time that the actual British Empire was connected together. They were able to send a message from here to India in 9 minutes. Previously, it took more than 2 weeks. Now, you take sending messages all over the world for granted. But in those days, it was quite a thing to send a message from this country to any part of the empire.
Over the next 100 years, a further 14 cables were laid from Porthcurno, reaching to every corner of the globe. The main offices were built just off the beach, but during World War II, Porthcurno became an enemy target, so the whole outfit was moved underground. Wow-wee, what an impressive place. These machines once sent messages that saved lives. So can I have a go?
You can.
I'd love to send a message to the front line.
Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Done it, now what?
Then they load it onto this machine, which would read the holes in the tape and convert it into electrical signals, and it would be sent down the cable to its destination.
I mean, there you go, Rudy. I've just sent a message to the planet that says, hello from the coastal path. It's a bit of fun for me, but I am reminded that in wartime, these would have been life and death messages.
It would have been very important messages that were vital to the Allies and the war effort all around the world.
The station closed in 1970, but the telegraph company, by now known as Cable and Wireless, turned it into a training centre. Rudy himself came here from Belize.
I was brought here by Cable and Wireless to learn the trade. In 1972, as a 21-year-old man, it was a multicultural place. We had people from all over the world coming to this very place to learn about telecommunications.
The telegraph building is now a museum. Rudy returned here to work as a guide.
People comment that I'm back where I started in life. And so, yeah, I've been here working at the museum for some 7 years now. And it is a delight to show people around the museum and telling them what Porthcurno was all about.
Porthcurno has been full of surprises. But it's time to continue my journey through South Cornwall. My next stop is the most southerly point in the country, the spectacular Lizard Peninsula. This stretch of coast path is wild, rugged, and exceptionally beautiful. But it's not the only reason it's a walker's paradise. The lizard is a magnet for marine wildlife, and you never know what you might get a glimpse of walking here. I'm heading to the tip of Lizard Point and some of the best wildlife spotting opportunities in Britain. Kat Lee from the National Trust runs the watch point here. All right, Kat, I've made it. The southern point.
Good morning.
How you doing? All right.
Yeah.
What a fantastic watch point, isn't it?
It's really special. It's a fantastic place to see seabirds on passage to their breeding grounds.
You can just feel the power. I mean, there's the western approaches. You know, you can just feel the Gulf Stream and North Atlantic drift.
Yeah.
The whole power of the Atlantic Ocean whizzing around here.
And quite often we feel it.
I bet you do, yeah.
Volunteers are here, whatever the weather, watching and recording wildlife.
Whatever you spot as you're walking, you can tell the volunteers and they'll record it into a national database. You can sit here and have a cup of tea just behind us
Yeah,
and contribute to science.
exactly. Nice and easy. And on a day like this, what's better?
I've seen some fantastic wildlife so far, but there is one bird that I'm really hoping to spot. The chough is a symbolic bird in Cornwall, but due to habitat loss and persecution, they completely disappeared from the county in the 1970s. That was until a breeding pair appeared out of the blue on the lizard in 2001. Numbers have been increasing ever since. The secret nesting sites are watched over by dedicated volunteers, like Rosie Bowman. Hey, Rosie, how you doing?
All right, not so bad. How are you doing?
What a great place this is.
Yeah, no, not too shabby a day at the office for me.
Yeah, no kidding. And how does it feel to be the custodian over these birds?
Yeah, no, really good. It's really good. It's really rewarding use of time, I think. And it's brilliant to be a part of their natural comeback, that they've done it themselves, and we now have the, moral obligation almost to protect that. So here we are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Speak of the devils.
Oh, that is them, is it?
Yep, so this is our pair.
Flipping fantastic. After all that build-up, I'm so pleased to actually see them.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, you can tell them from a jackdaw just because of the really distinct red features.
It's hard to get a sense of the red legs when they're flying, though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, have them tucked back under.
Oh, yes, of course. I knew that. And their call is so distinctive, isn't it?
Yeah, really different to any of the other corvids. It's kind of like chow. It's
Yes.
how they got their name, basically, yeah.
Well, they're beautiful birds, aren't they?
Really nice, really good to watch. Never get tired of it.
The cliff tops of the lizard have been perfect for wildlife watching. But it's time to shake a leg. And pretty much everything else too.
On the way, it's a bit slippy on the
John Paul Eatock is taking me coast-steering. I'm not exactly sure what I've signed up for, except that I'm ready for it. So what is coast-steering?
Coast-steering here on the Lizard is amazing. It's going down to where the sea meets the cliff and just seeing the world from a different point of view. From scrambling to going to visit little islands to doing a bit of cliff jumping and have a whole load of fun.
Well, it sounds absolutely fantastic. What's next?
So we're going to just go down the cliffs to where the sea meets the cliffs and just get in there and go coast-steering. Let's get wet. OK, team, what we're going to do first is we're going to go into the water just behind me and get used to the temperature of it because it's only 10 degrees C. Get acclimatised, work our way a little way, see how we go, and then keep on moving after that. And just gently float. You'll go forward.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
Safe place. Okay. We wait to look for a wave behind us, the waves come from here. Yeah.
Scrambling ashore takes some practice. I want me wave.
Here it is.
There it is. Especially when the waves keep pulling you back down.
That's all it needs now.
There you go. Bye. How are you
For me, this is living. You know, we're in the sea, we're on the sea, we're feeling the power of the water. Yeah.
There's an island over there. I want us to get to it.
All right, deal.
Let's head that way.
Oh, this one.
That one, yeah, that one. Let's go.
I thought you were pointing the silly arse.
No. France.
Yeah.
Right, let's go to that island over there. And there we go. We're going to make our way that way along this ledge.
All right, cool.
Just keep on looking after the person behind you. Tell you what, just sit down here.
Sit down? There's something fishy going on. Coast steering has been such a buzz, and it's not over yet.
We've got one more thing to do, and that's to do a spot of cliff jumping. Are you up for it?
Yes.
How big of a cliff is it?
High enough to make your knees wobble. Are you okay with that?
Dead right, yes please.
Come on then.
Come on. Could use a bit of knee wobbling. Here goes.
3, 2, 1.
It's been an action-packed day, and as the sun sets on the Lizard, I'm ready for some R&R. So I've come to the village of Cadgwith.
And the beauty of Kashmir lay drooping its head, then away.
There's a real buzz in here tonight, and it's not just down to the local beer. It's Friday night, and at the Cadgwith Inn, that can only mean one thing. A good old-fashioned sing-song.
Caves in yonder mountain where the robbers retreat.
They've been happening in this pub for 35 years. Fisherman David Muirhead has been here since the beginning. I feel like as if I've come on the right night.
Yeah.
I've come in here and there's always fantastic singing. What's it all about?
Well, it's a special night, all right, but every Friday is a special night at Cadgwith, and we all get together and have a really good sing. Well, it's a great tradition, and we're pleased to keep it going.
What are the songs all about?
Well, some are about the sea, some are traditional Cornish songs. Occasionally we sing an old pop song.
So now that's it. It's all done, or you're going to have another
Yeah,
go?
gosh, we're going to do another crack now. Sing another dozen or so songs.
Fantastic.
And I hope you're going to join in.
Do you know what? I will join in.
Brilliant. Stand by, Paul. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Right, I'm ready. There's no getting out of it now.
Right, here we go then.
OK, I'll follow you.
Good sword and the trusty and a merry heart and true. King James's men will understand what Cornish lads can do. And have they fixed the where and when and shall Trelawney die? If 20,000 Cornish bold will know the reason why. And shall Trelawney live, or shall Trelawney die? Is 20,000 Cornish men will know the
won't make a Cadging review yet.
With those proud voices still ringing in my ears, I'm continuing eastwards. The scenery starts to change. Wild coastline gives way to sheltered woodland and subtropical plants as I cross the peaceful inlets of the Helford River. One of the treats of walking this section is you can save your legs a little by hopping on a water taxi, cutting out the long route around the estuary. Now I can see he's on the other side at the moment, so I just have to do this and hope he sees me. A water taxi's been ferrying people across this stretch for more than 300 years. It's the perfect way to soak up the tranquil beauty of the area. Great service, thank you. The next major attraction on the coast path is the port of Falmouth. I'm following the path to Pendennis Castle, above the town. It was built by Henry VIII to protect Cornwall from pirates, plunderers and Europeans.
Just come and have a look at this view.
Oh, yes. Wendy Amer is the castle's manager.
Now we get to the top of this keep, you can really appreciate why Henry decided to build a castle here. It's on a little peninsula that's sticking out into the ocean. At the time, he was in a lot of trouble with his European neighbours. France and Spain, he was expecting them to invade at any time. So it was really important that this was fortified. And that continues on through history as well. Every time there was another threat, they put in new fortifications and new guns. And there's evidence of that all around the castle, different guns from different times. Would you like to come and have a look?
Yes, please.
OK, let's go and look at some guns.
Wendy's got a bit of a thing for guns. In fact, she's the master gunner of Pendennis Castle.
Here we've got a Saker cannon from the Tudor period. This is a replica, but the beauty about having a replica is that we can still fire them. So, would you like a go at that?
Oh, heaven. I'd love to fire it.
OK. Well, the first thing we need is some gunpowder.
OK.
I've got a packet of it here.
Oh, yep.
So I'll just empty some out of the bag into your hand so you can have a look.
Yep, great stuff. It's funny, isn't it? It's called gunpowder, so you tend to think, it's a fine powder, but look.
No, it's quite big
great.
pieces. OK, you hold on to the gunpowder.
Yes, please.
I'll get the ramrod.
Right, it's a deal.
It's pretty big. So put that into the...
Straight in. OK, will do.
So you're going to push the bag of powder down the barrel, all the way down to the end. We now have a loaded weapon. So the next thing we need is a powder horn.
Oh, look at that.
And that is filled with fine powder. You're feeling very Tudor now?
Absolutely, it's
Great.
beautiful, this thing.
OK.
OK, what do I do?
OK, so it's got a little button that you press in, and then you put the fine powder into the hole.
I get it. OK. Here it comes.
So a little bit more, just so it creates a little mound on top. We need to help the safety up. OK.
Sounds good to me.
It's going to be loud, so
OK.
let's put some ear defenders on.
Right, OK.
OK, let's get those on.
Yep. OK, Wendy.
OK. Are we ready?
Yeah, ready.
OK.
Firing the gun! Fantastic!
I love a gun.
Falmouth's been a blast, but I'm moving on. I'm heading towards Polperro in southeast Cornwall. The path here is fringed by wild flowers. It's a pretty walk, but for food foragers like Rachel Lambert, it can be a very fruitful one too.
We've been walking along all this wonderful white flower-shaped flower.
Yeah, I've seen thousands of them on the path.
I know, it's full of it. Really pretty, isn't it? And if you look at the end there, the shape of the stem, so this is a three-cornered leek.
Is it all right to have some?
Yes, it's good.
Oh yeah, it's sweet.
It
Sweet
is,
as-
yeah. The flower stem is the sweetest part of it.
I thought it was going to be harsh because it's quite a strong smell, isn't it?
If you wanted a stronger part,
Yes.
then you can eat the flowers.
Oh, well,
So
you
it's
can
a
eat
little
the
bit
flowers.
more punchy, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. That's really good. Pizza. That will be great on pizza. Wow, this is exciting business. Thank you.
Right.
What's next?
Well, let's go and find out.
Okay.
Here we've got pennywort. There's also known as navelwort, which is like an innie belly button.
Okay, it's a great looking
Umbilicus
thing.
is the Latin.
Umbilicus.
So
Ah,
it makes
hence
sense.
the navel.
Navel and, yeah.
Belly button wort.
Yes.
And what do you do with them?
Well, it's great for salads, actually. It's a real thirst quencher of the hedgerow. It's full of
Okay.
water, very succulent.
It's all right to have a go?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Oh, that's great.
Do you feel quenched?
I had no idea. Absolutely. This is a revelation, this kind of thing.
Great. Start to be able to pick out different plants, flavours.
I've been walking this path for some time now, Rachel, but you brought it to life, so thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's really nice to share it with people and have a munch as we walk as
Yes,
well.
please. Yes, thank you. My walk along the edge of South Cornwall has been a treat for the senses. But as I round the Rain Peninsula, it's coming to a close. The path leads through the twin villages of Corsand and Kingsand. It's hard to tell where one starts and the other ends. But there is one important difference. Corsand has always been in Cornwall, but until the county boundaries were changed in 1844, Kingsand was in Devon. And this house marks the old county boundary. Devon, Cornwall. Here goes. Next time on Coastal Path, I'll be exploring South Devon. I'll be diving for treasure at Burr Island.
Oh, well done, Myra. I knew you'd find the first one.
And travelling full steam ahead in Paynton. I'm driving a steam crane.
And Paul's journey continues in 2 weeks' time on Friday the 9th of December at 8:30. Rick Stein's in tapas heaven on the narrow winding streets of his latest long weekend destination next tonight. And then Giles Brandreth and Jimmy Carr are on the guest list for this week's QI. That's at 10 here on BBC Two.